There we go. I think we are live. I think you are muted. And while you're doing that, I am just going to pull up to make sure that we are going live in the group. I'm finding everything is lagging today. All right. I think we're live. Are you on?
I think we're good. Can you hear me?
Yay, yay. We are live. We are streaming in the Facebook group today, in the free Facebook group, Women's Migraine Freedom. Welcome, everyone. Everyone, this is Erinne. Erinne has been awesome and said she would come on today and chat with us. So we have the pleasure of talking to Erinne. She's one of our Freedom from Migraine Method clients. So welcome, Erinne. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time. So Erinne is going to share a little bit about her migraine story and experiences working through the Freedom from Migraine method, because I really think it is just so helpful for everyone to know, first of all, that you're not in this journey alone. You know, we think as people, hey, Catherine, how you doing? We think as people who have migraines, sometimes that we're just the only ones out there. It's such a lonely journey. And knowing that this group is 500 strong, that there are over 500 women here to support each other is just so amazing. Plus the other great reason to get to talk to someone who's going through the process is because it's really hard to model what you can't see. You know, for so many of us, we think that there is no way to get rid of migraines, that, you know, we have them, we've tried so many things. How could this possibly work? So without being able to see that, we still have that doubt in the back of our mind that we all have when we try something new, that this isn't going to work for me, this isn't going to be right for me. So fortunately, Erinne has said yes to coming on and giving us a little bit of information on her journey, being a little bit vulnerable today to let us know how that has gone for her. So again, thank you for taking your time to share with us today. And let's just get started talking about your migraine journey. You know, what kind of brought you to the Freedom from Migraine method?
Okay, well, it's great to be here. And anyone who finds their way to you and your program, Debbie, is definitely fortunate and blessed. So start by saying that. Putting the pieces together now, I've been dealing with hormonal related migraines or headaches since the onset of my cycle when I was 11. I didn't understand until I joined this program that what I used to call tension headaches, or I would have neck pain or premenstrual symptoms that were, head related. I didn't understand those were all either signs and or forms of migraines. So, now with the pieces, it's like, oh, from the onset of menses, and then what really led me to finding you, and it's a kind of a cute story. Actually, my dad helped me find you, which is kind of sweet. It was, I have something called early onset perimenopause. That's the lovely technical medical term for it. So I'm 43, and this started when I was 42. Little young for perimenopause, but my reality. And all of a sudden, whatever those forms of what I thought were headaches or neck pain or whatever were so clearly full-blown migraines to the point of vomiting, curled up in bed in the dark, ice pack. I mean, just losing days of my life. I remember one of the worst one. I swear, I woke up came out of it 3 days later and missed 3 days of my life. And I have a young child. And anyway, so I think I thought I was managing, or I didn't know there was another way to manage with over-the-counter stuff, prescription stuff. I did all the right things and made sure there was nothing else going on. Saw my doctor, luckily she's kind and open, but understandably some of the way she was trained is to provide medication and prescriptions. And at the time, that was the only thing I could manage. So long story short, I must have been complaining enough to everyone in my life, or this must have been a well-known fact about Erinne, because my father, who is a retired physician, actually went to see you speak at a local library session before the pandemic when we could do those things.
Yes, I miss those. I miss those so much.
And he came to me with this flyer, with your lovely flyer. I think it must have been January, because it was part of a New Year, New You, with this flyer. Check her out. She seems legit. Because I think at that point, as a retired physician, he felt so badly, he didn't know what to do. And I had done everything that was asked of me at that point. And looking back now, not only was it not getting better, I would say getting worse. So long story short, I reached out to you, and then and you were so kind, because it's a pandemic. It's not an average day anymore. Not that that even exists, but this
No.
new normal was overwhelming. And I really appreciate your kindness and flexibility. And also, I figured if I can do this now, I can do this. So I am very aware I haven't been always the student I wished I could be, but I've been the best student I can. And I'm so grateful. It's kind of reminded me that no matter what's going on, my personal health has to be a priority. No matter what else I am, woman, partner, mother, worker, whatever,
Yeah.
I have to take care of myself. And the more I take care of myself, the better I feel.
Yeah, I think you've been an excellent student because you've always known that. You've known that there's a program that you needed to work on,
Mm.
but that you're also a human being. You're not a robot.
Yeah.
And we have life that we have to deal with. And like you said, this is a pandemic, and this is a time that none of us have ever gone through, and hopefully we'll never have to go through again. And you have to give yourself that grace while you work through this program to know what you can do at each stage.
Yep.
As we've talked about, this is a 3-month program, but if this program takes you 6 months to do, that doesn't mean you failed. It
Right.
means that you've succeeded in the way that best works for you.
And just to be honest and vulnerable, we've had a couple check-ins where I'm like, all right, honest fact,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one, sentence closer from last week to this week, but this is what I did figure out. And I think too, the thing I realize now, whether it's pandemic or life and having a little one, for me, it just takes some time to take in the information. And I appreciate that we often go over things, or you repeat things in a different way, you provide information in a different way, because some of this, once you get it back in place, is common sense, but it's presented a different way. And some of this, you're trying to piece all these little pieces together and figure out the picture for you. I've never been asked to look at just me as an individual and figure this out, right? I've always been put in these categories of usually abnormal, which that fits my personality, but health-wise, that's not ideal. So it
Right.
takes some time for me at least, to get to know myself as a 43-year-old woman with these symptoms, with this reality at this time. But yeah, I mean, I just came back from a little time away, not one migraine, not one issue. I had my 911 kit with me, which people will hear about more in the program. That's a lifesaver, but I was able to be fully present and enjoy myself.
And that's from all the work that you've done, which is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So let me ask you this. Why did you decide this program? What was it about the Freedom from Migraine method that made you decide this was something you were going to give a try?
I think our initial conversation, the fact that you were so professional and kind, but you were very straightforward, that this is not a program for someone who's not ready to work. This is not a program for someone who's not serious about their well-being and prioritizing themselves. But that you were so open to what it could look like, how it would work. And I think too, if you're brave enough to call and have the conversation, I knew there was a part of me that, like, okay, Erinne, like, you've tried everything else. Let's really give this a real try. And also to know that I deserve to not be so miserable and not be in pain and not miss days of my life anymore. That probably was the biggest motivation, was not to be in so much pain.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's a very hard thing for people, because I do get a lot of people on the calls, but there is a lot of fear there. There's still so much fear. You don't want to fail. You're afraid to make an investment in you. And I think as women, we find it's hard to make an investment in ourselves.
Yeah.
We want to invest in our household. We want to invest in our children. We want to invest in everyone around us. And we forget to put ourselves first, when that's what we really need to do. Because when we put ourselves first, all of those other things just trickle down. And then we end up giving more to everyone else, which I think you have found quite a bit as you've worked through this program, that you're more present for everyone. And that was something you said in the very beginning, that you just didn't feel like you were there for anyone. You didn't feel like anyone can count on you. So what was your biggest aha moment through the program?
Oh, which one? Which time? Well, first I want to say, just in relation to your last comment, we have to change the conversation, the dialogue, and the understanding that women in general, but especially women as caretakers, have to come first.
Yeah.
that has to change. So I just got to throw that out there.
Mhm.
And it starts with us for sure. You can't model what you don't do. And I think especially as a mom, that became very clear to me with the little one. But the ahas were really tiny things and then really big things like, wow, I haven't been drinking enough water for a long time. I think it was what my perception of what healthy me was and what I was actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost had this idea in my head, like, for example, 2 years ago, I was just in a great space mentally and physically, working out, eating healthy, life was just a little simpler, a little easier day to day. So I carried that with me, but I was doing this, So my perception and what you'd ask me questions and what I tell you was this, but what I was actually doing was this. And when I realized the distance between those two, and when I call it that awesome and annoying tracking form, which people will come up with their own feelings about. But when I saw what I was actually doing and not doing versus what I thought. So when the thoughts and the reality did not continue not to match up, and then, I don't feel well this day. I don't, that was the biggest awesome and annoying aha, like, oh, I'm making choices that make me feel not great. I'm actually not doing, it wasn't a matter of what I was doing, it was more about what I wasn't doing. Green foods, water, and I love in this program, you don't have to go do like hardcore cardio. And in fact, that may not be the best idea, but just go for a walk, regular sleep. I mean, and just to connect it all, right? Because I think other times I've looked at this and I've looked at this, but to look at all of it was awesome and annoying, but to put all those pieces together just gave me the picture of like, oh, this is the real Erinne right now.
Yeah.
Not what I thought it was. So that was very helpful. But once again, in a professional and kind way where I didn't have to feel badly or this is just where I was at. And I, in a pandemic, pretty much a hot mess. So, but it gave me hope that there were things I could do differently and maybe I'd feel better. And the more I do them, the better I feel.
I love that you said that they were big ahas and little. Because I think when we are trying to get rid of migraines, we think that every change has to be huge. We think that every change is like going to come down out of the sky and like, just beat us on the head and go, bam, you've got to change your whole life. You have to change everything. And sometimes it is those subtle shifts that are going to move the needle more.
Yep.
I have so many people that tell me, well, I'm vegan, I'm vegetarian, I eat healthy, I sleep well, I do all these things. So how can you help me? But one, as you said, it's those little tweaks. And two, our brain likes to tell us that we're healthy and that we're doing good things because we want to feel good about ourselves. So if someone says to you, are you healthy? Well, you're going to say, yes, yes, I am. I am healthy. But then when you get it on paper, you realize that maybe there are a few more tweaks that you think you can do. And, health coaches are not excluded of that. I told you my story of the sugar that snuck back in our house and how when we went through and we decided we were going to make sure we got rid of it, how much I actually found. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. It's good to do those reality checks every once in a while, which is why that annoying form that you love and hate is so helpful. So where do you think you would be today if we hadn't found each other a few months ago and you had not joined this program? Tell me what you think your life would look like right now.
It's as surreal, hard, and intense things are anyway. I'd be curled up in the fetal position, vomiting in a dark room, even more, which just breaks my heart for myself, let alone my family. And I think I would have kept those immediate fixes that maybe in that moment help, but then long term make it harder. I think I would have still run to those and not understand that some of those immediate fixes I was grabbing onto were actually making it worse. And I remember us talking about like things we eat or drink can affect you 24, 40, not understanding the connection that maybe for that half an hour I got through or whatever, but the long-term effect of that. And I don't think I would be able to take as much just lovingly kind responsibility, like, okay, I'm tired. I'm dehydrated. I need 20 minutes. Everyone can wait 20 minutes while I take a deep breath or go for a walk or just stretch. Yeah, I think it'd be pretty ugly. I'm really grateful I don't have to find out, and I don't intend on finding out. So,
Because
um,
you knew a lot of these things. A lot of these, some of these things you knew, not all of them, but some of
no,
these things you knew. So it was the program kind of pieced it together for you in a
yeah,
nice way that you could understand it and work through it at your own pace,
yeah, that
in
was
your own
not
time.
overwhelming. Yeah, which right now is huge. I mean, I think too, one of the reasons this program worked so well is, it comes even the program, the steps come in little pieces and checklists, and it's all nicely organized, which I appreciate. So I don't even have to keep track of that. I can just go online, and some of them even give you little check marks, which is great. But changing any behaviors in your life takes time and energy. So that can be enough. You don't need to be overwhelmed by the
Mhm.
process itself. So
Yeah, well, it's not like it's a weight loss program. So someone who's trying to lose weight, they can plug through all week long and be fine. But when you're dealing with a migraine, you may lose a few days,
mhm.
as you said in the beginning. You may lose some time. So knowing that you have that support there and you don't have to figure out what you need to do next when you're back on track.
Yeah,
You just have to open something up and start working on it. So,
try. And
you
just
know,
try. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So, what would you tell that person who's sitting on the fence about joining the Freedom from Migraine method? They're afraid, they're scared, they get on the call, they're ready to do it, they want to take the plunge, they want to get rid of those headaches, but they've got something that's just holding them back, telling them that this just isn't going to work. What would be your best advice for them?
I would say be brave enough to be vulnerable and really talk to you and really listen to what you have to say. You can check out all the online stuff too, of course, and I think just give yourself permission to sit quietly for even just a few minutes before after that conversation, and you'll know the answer. Um, and I also think, if you're being held back by things around you, you're not going to feel better till you feel better. Things are not going to be easier till you feel better. You're not going to be more present, able to enjoy, able to support. I think that's the one thing I've really realized. If I am not well, everyone in my world isn't well, right? So one, you're worth the investment. Two, get quiet and listen. And three, be brave and vulnerable when someone talks to you, and just be honest. Like, this is what I'm afraid of. This is what I'm overwhelmed by. This is why I'm afraid not to do this, or why I think I can't. And I think you are great about saying, and I also think you could help here say, oh, I hear you, but have you
Hmm.
thought about this?
Hmm.
And I appreciate these are very interesting times,
Yep.
but it's not going to get a lot better anytime soon. So if you're not going to invest in yourself, when are you? If you're not going to do it right now, if you had told me like I'm going to join this program and work with this health coach and make my life more interesting right now, I would have been like, you're crazy, but I would have been crazy not to. And I'm grateful I took that leap of faith.
Well, I am so glad you took that leap of faith, because watching you these last few months has been amazing. Just watching your transformation. As you said, and you were very honest, you had weeks where you didn't see results,
Mhm.
which is very common. That is so normal because it's a whole process that you have to work through. And you had some weeks where you just weren't able to get things done.
Yep.
You have a headache or a migraine, you have a family that needs you, you have an ever-changing school system with a daughter who you're trying to figure out, okay, who's working at home today, who's taking care of the kids, who's it's a lot to figure out. So but you are always very good with giving yourself that grace and giving yourself that time. So it's been amazing to watch that.
Thank you.
We have a couple people on today. We have Catherine, we have Rebecca, and we have Ginger. So ladies, what questions do you have for Erinne? Do you have any questions about the program, about her migraine journey, how it's been working through the Freedom from Migraine method? Now is the time. You have a captive audience here to ask. But while you're thinking and while you're typing that in, um, Erinne, any last words of wisdom for these ladies, these 500 plus women who are ready to be migraine free?
Well, I just want to say a personal thank you to you for not only sharing your own journey, but turning it into this program to help others. I mean, you could have just done this for yourself and not shared it, so I'm very grateful to you for being willing to do that. And I
Well,
think
thank
too,
you.
we have to change the dialogue for women. We have to make it okay for ourselves and each other to take care of ourselves. We have to make it okay that we're a little different, or we struggle with this or that, that we deserve the resources and the tools and to spend the money to figure it out. I don't think things for women are going to get much easier for a while. I hope they will get in the long term, but short term, I know a lot of women right now who we never imagined we'd be here. So I think if we can figure out how to take the best care of ourselves now and release ourselves from that migraine pain and that stress, then we can be more present, more available, more helpful to ourselves and, in each other. And I think too, consistency for me, this program is, I can be really good here and there, but it's putting those pieces together. It's that day in and, I was never taught to invest in myself, take care of myself day in and day out. I was taught how to take care of everybody else.
Right.
And if I want that to change for me and my daughter, it has to change with me first. And she's watching, she's little right now, but she said to me the other day, Mama, you haven't been in bed in days and days. And, that was both awesome and heartbreaking, honestly, because that she's that aware. But if she sees me feeling better and taking care of myself, she's like, oh, I'm worth it too. And I think too, we're all beautiful. My favorite thing to say is I'm a beautiful, exquisite mess of a human being. We all are. And I think this is a very safe forum and place to admit, like, how many times did I say to you, oh, Debbie, duh, like, duh, right? But I just didn't get it till I got it, or I didn't get piece A and piece B together, 1 + 1 = 2 every time. So I think to be kind to ourselves and each other, that especially during the pandemic, especially when you have migraine pain, you were so kind. 1 week, I was so angry that I hadn't got stuff done. But I had been in bed for 2 days, miserable, like blackout miserable. And you're like, it's okay. Oh, you're and I think too, for people that haven't experienced migraines, especially at the point where you're so physically in pain and ill, you can't move. I don't think people mean to be unkind, but same for me. Until I'd experienced this level, I don't think I got it either. And now when someone says, oh, I deal with migraines, I'm like, oh, what do you need? Ice pack? 20 minutes to yourself, like, have you heard of Debbie? But I think you don't get it till you get it. But then it is, once again, awesome and annoying that it's up to each of us to figure out what we need to feel better. So
Absolutely. Well, that was awesome and wonderful advice. I hope the ladies watching have gotten something out of this. I know it's going to be viewed many times in the replay. So I'm looking forward to seeing the comments that people put in there. Ginger just said she wasn't able to join us from the beginning, but she's already ready to start from the beginning. So I'm sure once this video is uploaded, she'll be going back and watching. But it has truly been my pleasure to work with you and to watch you transform over, the last few months, and just the enjoyment that I hear in your voice now when you talk about things that you're doing in your family, things that you're getting back, and knowing that you've gained the strength to see yourself through this fall and winter, which we know is going to be challenging. But even if we weren't in a pandemic, life is challenging. There is always something. So I love how you said, if you can do it now, you can do it anytime, which is the point of this program, is that, you learn the tools that you need so that you don't need me anymore, so that you can move on, so that a year from now, I know I'll always be in the group, and you better be in the Facebook group. Everyone is always welcome in the free Facebook group. But that's the point. I don't want people in here for life. I want people to know I've got the tools. So a year from now, let's say, I'm not even going to say what could happen, but let's say something crazy may happen. All you have to do is go back to your info, and you can read it again. You can look at it again, and it's right there for you.
My little notebook.
There you go. I love it. I love it. So on that note, unless you have anything else, I think we're good with questions. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. I know this is going to be huge value to the ladies. And ladies, thank you for joining. And we will see you in the group.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Here's to your migraine-free day. Thanks. Take care.